This is the car we're going to be riding down in. Dale and the kids are already in there waiting.
And then they're going to put us in that. And then we're going down in that. And you have to, listen, you have to be quiet down in there.
Yes, you have to be really quiet. It's a tour. Here we go. Yeah, it's leaking. There's a river running on the side there.
Just hold on, okay? No, this isn't. We'll be down there in a minute, okay? Just hold on, okay? We just gotta go around the corner and then we're almost there, okay? Hold on, don't go your head. See, now we're gonna round the corner. No, this isn't that. You see all the water over there?
Yeah, there's a river running.
It's a rain mass. See all the water? No, it's not. We're going to go around the corner. Quiet,
okay? She's all like, we're going off the tracks.
It looks like it's going.
You want to get up on my lap?
Yep, see, we're almost there. Yep, we did.
What's that scary, Diana?
Yep. Says tour starts here.
It's about down 1,500 feet. So the way down is 1,500 feet. We're only actually down around 260 from the surface. We do have 3 beds above and below us. So we are the middle one out of 7. And we did actually pass under the water level that is natural to the earth. So you did see that large borehole pipe there, all the water draining down. That is currently the water level. So that's where we're currently underneath that at this point. So these beds do go from McDade Park, where we are right now, all the way down to Montage Mountain. If you are from around the area, you will know that location. If not, about 7 or 8 miles from this point. Right here. All right, so generally we're going to be going through the gangways and the main hallways today. These little red dashes that you do see are the cutoff points where they would be mining back in the day. We did put in walls and stoppages and things like that, just to guide us along our tour here today. All of the black squares that you do see is the anthracite coal, another natural rock that still remains in here today. So generally the rule was you didn't want to leave around 85% of that in here, because that is currently what is holding this up all together right here. These right here are called the timbers, and they do not hold up our walls at this point. These are natural warning signs in case anything were to happen. These would begin to crackle and pop while the miners were down here. Natural warning sign to get out or add reinforcements, things like that. All right, so any questions so far? We're going to continue on to the next stop. We're good? All right. In the 1900s as well. So just picture all of this without the hallway lights and those 2 lights right there that are headlining. He would just have that oil wick lamp on the top of his head to definitely get him across the valleys here. All right, any questions so far? Good, all right, we can move on.
Can you see them?
But once the donkey was taken out of here, that's what we would have is the electric donkey. Very important to note, there would be a live wire that would be running at all times throughout the mining industry. So if you were a miner back in the day, definitely had to be aware of where that wire was at all times. If you did touch it, definitely a high voltage for this electric donkey right here. All right, so right here we have the mine phone. This is over 100 years old. Definitely still does not work today, unfortunately. But what you would do with this phone is take it just like this and put it up to your mouth. Depending on how many rungs you did ask for, like this, unfortunately it does not work anymore. But that would be a certain section of the mine that you would want to call. Usually 2 would be for the mine boss, the mine foreman down here, that was in charge of everybody, keeping tabs of what was going on down here as well. Now with all old phones, generally anybody could pick this up if it did ring. So definitely didn't want to talk bad about the mine boss or anything down here, because he could be listening in on any of these sets of phones here. All right, so you can follow me over this way. All right, so unfortunately it is a little early in the season. We did just come back from the COVID protocol. But that right there in the cage is a canary. Usually we do have sound effects for that canary, but unfortunately they are a little shorted out as far as electricity goes. But we'll get back on top of that. We have a new one up at the surface we're working on. But what they would be brought down here for is the methane and carbon dioxide levels of gas. So along with the canary, you would have the Sir Davy safety lamp that I'm holding up right here. And if you would lift it up just like this, the flame would get higher or even blue if there was those dangerous levels of methane and carbon dioxide gas. And if you dropped it down to the floor like this, and the flame happened to go out, you would also know that there was those dangerous levels of gas. So this is a current working Sir Davy safety lamp. So as you can see, we're good on the tour today, as far as that. Right. So as I was saying before about the canary, they were brought down here for those gas levels as well. Unfortunate fact of it all, you would bring them down here as a warning sign. If they were to start acting a little differently or unfortunately pass out, you would know that there was those dangerous levels of gas and you'd want to get out as soon as possible. All right, so behind me, what we're looking at is about a 7 to 8 foot sheet of anthracite coal. And what the miners would do for the day is they would want to take their man drill, just like this, hook it up to their stomach, and then choose from one of these drill bits right here to drill into this coal face. At that point, you would want to stick of TNT or dynamite into this rot right here. You want about a 50-foot cord, and then explode it off into the rock face as far as this goes. This hallway is as large as you'd want to get it, so you would not be doing any further damage here, but when they did start off, that's what you would do to blow out your coal face here. All right, so any questions so far? All right, we're going to turn around. I will lead you guys, so if you could just make a path, you did already a good job of that. And then we'll head off to the left side and continue on. All right, follow me. Watch your step once again at the spinning rail. Gotta be a little slippery here. Highlighted areas for the taller people in the tour, these black trees. I really don't have to watch for much of them.
Is that you, Christopher? Are you the tallest one on the tour? Probably.
All right, do we have everybody? Good? What we have right here is the Mule Boy. Generally, back then, this would be about a 13 to 14-year-old boy, as early as that. And his job for the day would be to guide this mule or donkey along the track, making sure he didn't stop, go left or right, or even turn around in that case. These coal carts would be filled with about 2 tons of coal, so that mule or donkey would not actually be pulling a significant amount of weight. As you can see, this mine is designed to the point where the end point is, all the way back to our original entrance. It is slightly sloped downward. So as you have been able to tell, we have been walking slightly upward. At that point, natural gravity would majorly be moving this cart instead of the mule or donkey. Now what we have right here in the boy's hand is called a scrag stick. If the cart were to get out of control, fall off the track, or anything like that, that boy would have to jam that sharp wooden stick into the cart wheel, making it stop and brake that way. Definitely wanted to have a large supply of these every single day. Didn't want to leave them down here as they would get wet and soft. Wanted to make sure you did have a nice sturdy scrag stick. So usually these boys would make those up to the surface before they came down for the day to have their day supply of scrag sticks. He does too have an oil wick lamp. Once again, I point out that the light levels in here would be nowhere near as they are today. So he would be guiding this donkey along just with that source of light on his head there. Other than that, a nice joke put in by the mine foreman. The donkey, as you can see, does have headphones on. That is not realistic, would not be there back in the day, obviously. I just like to point that out because a lot of people ask questions about why he's wearing them. But other than that, any questions so far? Good? All right, you can follow me. Just a little more pressurization that will hold, and you can get a much wider cavern and things of that nature. They have pretty much mined all of the anthracite coal out of this current location. small strip of it right there in the middle where the faults do meet, as you can see right there. But this was done around 1960, and I did forget to mention at the very beginning, this operation did run from 1860 to 1966. After they did close down in 1966, they tried to transform it into this coal mine tour here. Took about 9 years for that to happen, and then around 1975, 1976, they opened up for the first coal mine tours here. So all of this is pretty much an operation between this bed, the three above and below us, went from 1860 to 1966, around 105, 106 years of operation. Okay. Christopher.
So cool, the sides of the walls.
Into another larger bed up at the surface, or one of the beds above us as well. Very short end stick right here. These workers would work for about 10 to 12 hours a day, usually 6 days a week, off on Sunday, and they would definitely have some severe arthritis in this certain location, as it did have very tight spaces, a lot of back problems as well for these monkey vein workers. Now the thing you see in the middle there is called the shaker chute. What you would do with this is take all of your natural rocks and anthracite coal that you did mine out of here, throw it on the shaker chute in the middle, and these metal rods would shake vigorously, and it would guide the natural rock and anthracite coal all the way down to the bottom right here, where that coal cart would be ready to fill up right at the end of the shaker chute there. Once again, I would like to point out that these timbers definitely do not hold up to ceiling, so it's definitely very unstable in these monkey veins, and definitely had to be careful as well, as you would have a much shorter reaction time or a warning sign if one of these would be to begin to crackle or pop or anything like that. Also, before the labor unions were involved around the 1930s, so for a good 70 years, everything that the miners did have to use down here, as far as TNT, your tools for the trade, your timbers, everything like that, would have to be bought by yourself. Now you would have a very low wage other than that, and buying these tools for your own work definitely cut into that pay and left a lot of these miners in debt. So definitely wanted to make sure you didn't waste any of these, cut them too short or too large. Wanted to make sure you did use your supply, because that would be cutting into your wage before those labor unions were involved. All right, any questions so far? We're good? All right, this next area that we're going to head into is called the airlock. So there's a set of doors in front of us right here, about 30 feet, and then another set of doors. So what this was used for is to keep the airflow flowing where it needed to be at all times, keeping the one end separate from this end. If both of these doors were open back in the day, both sets, at all times, there would not be enough oxygen levels in those monkey veins if they were very high up. So it's definitely very important to have at least one set of those doors shut at all times. Today there is still a very strong airflow, so you want to keep at least one set shut at all times. If you have both open, one of them's going to want to slam shut, and I don't want to write out an accident report in case anybody gets injured. All right, so please watch your head coming in. It's a little short here. And you can go all the way to the second set of doors. Just please don't open them, again, because if both are open, one will want to slam. There's going to be a mannequin off to your right, so don't get scared of that. He's a good start.
Oh, definitely.
All right, so if you can turn your attention towards me, you can shift back a little if you want. So right here we have the little nipper boy, just call him the door boy if you want. And this boy's only job for about 10 to 12 hours a day, once again, would be to monitor both sets of these doors. Not only wanting to make sure that one was closed at all times, But also when the mules and donkeys did come by, if the boy could not do it himself while guiding the donkey, he would gradually open this up for them and close it once it was needed. Once again, all of these hallway lights are just for the tour. That oil wick lamp would be the only source of light for the boy down here. Would be pretty much pitch dark at all times, 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And these boys can be as young as 6 and 7 years old back in the day. So basically, kindergartner, first grader in today's world would be doing this job right here. Now definitely the only reason that that boy would be as young as he is, if the father of the family did unfortunately pass away down here, the family would lose their house because the women were not allowed to work down here for the substantial amount of that 106 years. So this boy would have to be tossed down here very early in the age group, just to support the family. If you did not have a working job down here for the mine, you would be kicked off that company house. Because 75 to 80% of these people did live on those company houses and have that debt. You want to make sure at least one person is working down here at all times. Now you can see his lunch pail there is made of metal. Definitely wanted to have it on latch at all times. Down here there were a lot of rats, and they did not want to control the population, kill any of them off whatsoever, because those rats were also another early warning sign down here. In case there was a slight cave-in or collapse up above, they did sense those vibrations a lot sooner than we would as people, and they would begin to run in the opposite direction of that cave-in. So they wanted to keep them down here just as another early warning sign. I know that's a little gross getting into your lunch or anything else down here with lots of rats, but definitely was very important for them. All right, any questions? Yes?
If they worked here eventually when they got older, would they move up into like different things?
Yes, so definitely if you were this young, about 6 or 7 years old, you can either do this or up at the surface. There was something called the breaker boys, and all that would entail is taking those full coal carts out at the surface and separating out all of the natural rock from the anthracite coal on conveyor belts in a large factory building up at the surface. Once you did get old enough, you can train for those mule boys, anything like that, and engineers, or even the people that will blow into the rock face, fire boss, mine boss, anything like that. So definitely had some development down here, but unless the mine boss or fire boss died and didn't have any natural relatives, usually that's kept in the family, so that's a pretty special job. Usually never moved up to that. Any other questions so far? All right, so I'm going to take you to the second set of doors. It's going to pull open, so just watch for that. And there's going to be a thing off to your right, you'll see it. It's a large chute that heads up. If you could just stop there for me. Once everybody's out, I'll be by.
Yeah, it's the second opening, 250 feet to the surface.
All right, so as you can see, it has been raining up at the surface pretty good. So this is connected to that water level. It is also connected all the way up to the surface. So everything you see here is kind of the surface water eventually coming down and draining out here. But today, what this is used for is a second emergency escape hatch, in case anything were to happen as far as the cave-in down here. Also for the mining days, this would be here as well. Also up at the top, what you do here is a very large fan propelling air from the surface down here, so our airflow is good and the air quality for the tour down here is good as well. So in the case of an emergency, get right here, even though you're all with me anyway. And we would head up here in a one-person cart. Generally, you get two kids, 3 kids in here, and we would head up this way. All right, follow me. All right, so we can gather around the full cart here. All right, so what we have right here is an authentic coal cart from the 190 slope back in the day. It is filled with actual anthracite coal. And generally, the level would be to fill this, as I did say, about 2 ton or 4,000 pounds. And also, before those labor unions were installed, definitely you did have to fill this as a miner for the day and able to be paid. It was definitely a very unfortunate process down here for all of the mine workers and everything like that. They were always in debt with those supplies having to be bought for their work, as well as this loophole that the mine bosses would find, unfortunately, not to pay them for the day. So 2 ton, heck of a lot of rock that you had to mine out of here just to be paid for the day. But once those labor unions were installed, a lot of this definitely went away. Well, all of it did go away. So just an unfortunate fact of the history of this mine as well. Anything? All right, we can continue to our last stop. And you can head all the way to the end. Just don't pause. All right, so what we have here is the very official ending point to this tour, as well as where they did stop mining in 1966. As I did say, in operation for 106 years, and in this specific Clark bed, this is where they stopped mining in this particular area or gangway right here. As you can see, the date and time on the board, that is our current mine foreman. He does come down here every single day to detect those gas levels, because it still can be an issue nowadays. So he comes down, inspects that in the morning, just to make sure we're all safe, and we're definitely good to go for the day as far as that goes. Once again, as you can see, all of the shiny rock right here, all anthracite coal all around us. So once again, about 85% of it is left down here, and that is to support just the general gangways and stuff like that. As I have been saying all throughout the tour, all of these hallway lights are just for the tour. So at this point, I usually do show everybody, if everybody's okay with it. I turn off all the lights, and you guys can see what it's actually like for the miners back in the day. I ask that you stay in one spot at all times while the lights are off. I don't want anybody to trip and fall or roll an ankle, anything like that. So I just ask, is everybody good with it?
Yes.
All right. So just stay in one spot and be careful. Okay? All right. So definitely it would not be this dark. They would have a little oil wick lamp. Right here would be the amount of light that they would have. Now this is in perfect working conditions as we are right now because there are no explosions happening around us. So a lot of that soot and pollution would be in the air, definitely making it foggy and a lot denser in here. As well as some ankle-high water spots can be had in their new formations as they would tap into water levels as well. So you can have running water up to your ankles. They did have special boots, but unfortunately the boots were not foolproof. Definitely can get some gangrene, some foot rot down here from those nasty levels of water, as well as those rats and other animals and wildlife running down here as well. So definitely, as we are right now in perfect working conditions, and you can see this source of light is about the only thing that we would have down here back in the day. All right. All right, so any further questions before we turn around and head back to our beginning?
So if people are down here all day for that many hours, do they go blind or what is?
Definitely had a lot of issues with the fact that you would get used to it down here for those 10 to 12 hours a day, head back up to the surface and your corneas would not react accordingly. So definitely a lot of temporary blindness would happen for these people over a lot of years if they were seasoned enough down here. Definitely can lead to permanent blindness, as well as a lot of headaches and migraine situations for them as well. Anything else? No. All right, so we can turn around. I'll lead you guys back, and we can head back to our starting point. If you think of anything on the way back, just call me out. I'll answer.
Here we go. We're heading up out. Yes, we are. Yep. Probably up around this corner we'll start seeing light. Whoa. Whoa! Hold right on the metal handles. Oh, I see it.
I feel it too. It's getting colder.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa!
I'm gonna turn the heat on. It's cold out. We're here.
We made it alive.
Please follow the yellow arrows to the exit sign. Turn your hard hat to the gift shop.
So this is the hoist house second opening where we were in the tour and the water was coming down, and this is if it collapsed and we weren't by the opening, this is the second opening.
In that capsule.
In this capsule, they said, I think like 1 or 2 adults and several children, they would evacuate out of there. And then over here is the big fan that we heard while we were down there too. It's a big fan in there to circulate the air. Yeah, it's a capsule. Then this just says the fan house. Large fans were used to ventilate the mines. The fans suck air out of the mine through this shaft, and fresh air enters the slope entrance to replace the exhausted air, maintaining a steady flow of fresh air in the mine. This fan can pull 22,000 cubic feet of air per minute through the mine. All right, everybody, we're leaving the Lackawanna Coal Mine tour. It was pretty fun. Well, what do you think, Daddy?
I think it was great, and of course it was cold. It's actually colder up here than it is underneath the ground.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was the ride down. Started getting a little claustrophobia, but
Yeah.
I pulled through.
All right, what about you, Christopher?
My favorite part was the door boy.
The door boy?
Yeah,
Yeah, he'd be your age doing it too.
it was really fun down there.
It was? What about you, Delana?
My favorite was the donkey.
The donkey?
Yeah.
What about you, JC?
My favorite part was probably learning about the canary and like how they would pass out if the gases were too high.
Show them the lights on your helmets that you could have you turned them on down there because it was dark. Yes, very cool. And then we also got certificates. Do you want to show them their certificates? We're gonna fill them out later when we get home. But yeah, it was pretty fun, huh? Something that we just did, fluke of the moment. All right, well, tell everybody thanks for watching our video.
Thanks for watching our video.
Thanks
for watching our video. Bye-bye.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you.